Sometimes the things we do to others with the belief that we are untouchable come back to haunt us. The lies, the manipulation, the hurt, it all builds up. So when it all falls apart, don't come crying to me. The damage was never mine to fix. You played with fire, thinking you'd never get burned. But here you are, singed and hurt, asking for sympathy from the very people you pushed away. The consequences of your toxic ways were always waiting to catch up to you. Toxic energy never lasts. It might seem sweet for a moment, but in the end, it always fades into regret. So when it turns sour, don't look to me for the comforting hand you've never offered anyone else. We've all seen it happen, the mask of charm and power slipping away, revealing the truth behind your toxic actions. When it all crumbles, don't expect me to patch up the pieces you've carelessly shattered. The universe has a way of balancing things out. When your toxic stunts inevitably backfire, remember that it's not karma. It's just the natural consequence of what you put out into the world. You cannot sow chaos and expect peace. When your toxic behavior finally comes to a head, don't come looking for someone to fix what you broke. You were warned. It's easy to forget that every action has a ripple effect. When your toxic ways finally collapse around you, don't seek comfort from those you've hurt along the way. The worst kind of pain is the one you bring upon yourself. You can play the victim all you want, but when your toxic stunts backfire, no one is going to be there to clean up your mess. Toxicity only thrives in the dark, but eventually the truth comes to light. When the consequences of your actions catch up to you, don't come crying for help. You built this reality. Some people never learn until they feel the weight of their actions. So when your toxic stunts finally crash down, don't expect the people you've hurt to fix what you've broken. People who live by manipulation, lies, and deceit eventually find that their world is built on fragile foundations. When it crumbles, don't come to me for rescue. I won't be there. When you throw stones, don't be surprised when they come crashing back at you. Your toxic stunts will catch up, and when they do, I won't be the one picking up the pieces. Toxicity has a shelf life. Eventually, the lies catch up to you, and when the consequences of your actions unfold, don't expect sympathy from those you've wronged. You can fool others for a while, but the truth always finds its way to the surface. When your toxic behavior catches up with you, don't come crying to me for forgiveness. Life has a way of reminding us that what we sow, we reap. You can only manipulate and deceive for so long before the universe brings everything you've done back around. When you play the game of toxicity, don't be surprised when the rules change and you find yourself on the losing side. The consequences are inevitable, and I won't be there to save you. It's funny how people who thrive on toxicity are always the first to cry when their own poison catches up with them. But I won't be the one to offer you comfort after you've destroyed everything. Toxicity blinds you to the truth, and when reality hits, it's too late to undo the damage. So when the consequences hit, don't come asking for help. You've already sealed your fate. The problem with toxic people is that they think they can outrun their consequences. But the truth always catches up, and when it does, don't expect anyone to clean up your mess. Your toxic behavior has been your own undoing all along. The day it backfires and your world falls apart, don't expect anyone to be there to hold you up. There's no such thing as a free pass when it comes to toxic actions. Everything you've done to others will eventually find its way back to you, and when it does, I won't be there to pick up the pieces. You can only use people for so long before they start seeing through the act. And when the world sees who you really are, don't come to me crying when everything falls apart. Toxic actions breed toxic consequences. When your behavior catches up with you, don't think for a second that I'll be the one to fix what you've broken. Some people think they're invincible in their toxicity, but in reality, they're only digging their own graves. When it all collapses, don't look to me for sympathy. Toxicity is a boomerang. You throw it out, and it always comes back. When it does, don't expect me to catch it for you. You threw it. The universe has a funny way of balancing things out. The toxic energy you've put out will eventually come back to you, and when it does, don't expect me to patch up the pieces. We all know that toxic actions lead to toxic consequences, but some people still choose to ignore that truth. When your reality crumbles, don't come crying to me. It's easy to walk around acting like the world owes you something, but when your toxic ways come back to haunt you, don't expect the people you've hurt to help you out. Life is all about the energy you put out, and when you send out toxic energy, it will always come back. When it does, don't come to me for redemption. The downfall of toxic people is always a slow burn, and when it all collapses, don't come crying to me. You built this mess yourself. Toxicity doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about the chaos you create. And when that chaos catches up to you, don't expect the ones you've hurt to save you. You can't hurt people and expect to go unscathed. So, when your toxic actions finally backfire, don't come running to me for a solution. Toxic behavior might seem like a shortcut to power, but the consequences are always brutal When the universe holds you accountable, don't expect a helping hand from me. Every action has a reaction, and your toxic actions will eventually catch up to you. When they do, don't come to me for help. You made your bed. The truth always comes to light, and when it does, all the toxicity you've spread will come back to you tenfold. Don't expect me to clean up your mess. You can only play the victim for so long before the truth catches up with you. When your toxic behavior finally backfires, don't expect me to fix it. Toxic people believe they can manipulate others without consequences, but the universe doesn't forget. When your lies catch up with you, don't expect me to be there for you. There's always a cost to toxicity, and when you finally pay the price for your actions, don't expect anyone to comfort you. You brought this upon yourself. Toxicity is a dangerous game. You might get away with it for a while, but eventually, the truth will catch up with you, and when it does, I won't be there to save you. The problem with being toxic is that you can't outrun the consequences. When they finally come for you, don't look to me for help. Toxic people are always so confident in their ability to control situations, but the truth is, the consequences will always catch up with them. When they do, I won't be the one to save you. When you manipulate and deceive, you're not just hurting others, you're setting yourself up for a fall. When your toxic behavior catches up to you, don't expect anyone to fix it. Your toxic behavior might be a shield for now, but the cracks are already forming. When it all comes crashing down, don't look to me to pick up the pieces. Toxic people often fail to realize that every action has consequences. So when everything you've built comes crumbling down, don't come crying to me. Toxicity never stays hidden forever. It always emerges and finds its way back to the person who created it. Don't come to me for help when it all collapses. You can play the game of manipulation for only so long before it catches up to you. When it does, don't expect anyone to come running to your rescue. There's a price to pay for toxic behavior, and when you finally have to pay it, don't think I'll be the one to foot the bill for you. Toxicity can only last for so long. When it finally crumbles, don't come crying to me. You sowed the seeds, and now you must face the consequences. You thought you could get away with it, but the consequences of your toxic actions are coming. Don't expect me to be there when everything falls apart. You can try to hide behind your toxicity, but sooner or later it will catch up to you. When it does, don't look to me for comfort. Life has a way of catching up with toxic people. When your actions finally come back to haunt you, don't expect me to be the one to clean up the mess. There's no escaping the consequences of your toxic behavior. When the fallout happens, don't come looking for a shoulder to cry on. Toxic actions lead to toxic consequences. And when the universe balances the scales, don't expect me to pick up the pieces for you. You may have thought you were in control, but in the end, your toxic behavior will backfire. Don't come running to me for a fix. The energy you put into the world is never wasted. When your toxic actions catch up to you, don't expect the people you hurt to save you. Toxicity may seem like an easy path, but when it backfires, don't come looking for help. You created this storm, and now you must face it. Toxic behavior is like a ticking time bomb. When it finally explodes, don't expect anyone to come to your rescue. You can only fake being someone you're not for so long. When the truth finally comes to light, don't come to me for forgiveness. Toxic actions may be short-lived, but their consequences are permanent. When your world comes crumbling down, don't expect me to fix it. The law of cause and effect never fails. When your toxic behavior finally catches up to you, don't look to me for a way out.